This conference will now
Okay.
be recorded.
Yeah. So, do you have any doubts in that session?
Not at this point in time, Lalit. Definitely, I will ask once I start practicing.
Sure, sure. Okay, no
Thank you, sir.
issue. So, can you see my screen?
Yeah, I can see that. Thank you.
Okay. So, this is my AWS console. I have already logged in. And if I go to the storage, that is S3. Yesterday, day before yesterday, we have created this bucket called AWS training something. Yeah, this one. AWS training Lalit. AWS.
Lalit, what is your last name?
Lalit Jhawar.
Chawada. CHO.
Jhawar.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is the thing that we have done. We have logged into the console. Now, important few things here. S3 is global. S3 doesn't require any region specific, but whatever the bucket you create, that are region specific. So currently we have created this bucket in Asia Pacific, Singapore region. Okay.
Okay.
To create a folder, you can just directly use this function to create a folder. And if you want to directly upload a file, you can do it here. Now, last time we have uploaded this file test.txt where we have written something like this is version 1. So let's see one by one in detail in the property section today. First is versioning. A version is nothing but it keeps a multiple copies of a same file. Okay. So to enable it, you have to just click on it and say enable versioning. That's it.
If we do not enable, then it overwrites all the time.
Yeah, it overrides all the time.
Okay.
So now, as soon as I enable this feature, now if I try to open this file, currently if I try to open this file, I won't be able to do that. Let's just make it public. So it says access denied. What would be the reason? Can you tell me, Gopi?
Public. I do not know. I cannot think.
Yeah. So if you remember, there was an access control list that overrides every single permission which is applicable on this bucket, which is like a
Okay.
access control list. It's much similar to our NACL. So what
Okay.
NACL, can you just tell me what NACL do exactly? We have seen this.
What is that?
NACL, Network Access Control List in our VPC.
Right, right, right.
So it's very important to remember that access control lists are the thing where you can control any kind of any kind of attack or any kind of disaster kind of thing. For example, you have one web server running, okay, one EC2 server running on where you have open specified port, like say 80 port, 443 port, and some other port. Okay, now if
Right.
someone is trying to penetrate your system via that particular port, or there is a DDoS attack on your system, so that will be on a specific port, correct?
Yes, yes.
Now, during such time, what you will do? Because to have working, until you figure out what exactly the problem is, there will be a very huge loss. If you are running the financial site or any kind of site which where requires a payment thing, at that time such kind of things will create a problems a lot, because you are dealing with the finance, you are dealing with the money, so you will find you will incur losses.
Okay.
So during this time, what you can do, you can just add a simple network access control list rule that deny all ports. What will happen? Network access control list work at the subnet level. Whatever servers you will create inside the subnet, it will be applicable to all the EC2 instances under that subnet. So what will happen? It will create an access control list and it will block all the ports. So there will be no connection made to the entire world. So you can define in such a way. So for example, if there is a DDoS attack or someone is trying to penetrate your system and trying to hack your system, So during such thing, what you can do, you can, until you figure out what exactly the problem, where this what is a loophole, you basically can do create a network access control list, select a deny option, and block all the other ports, and then you can figure out what exactly.
That means nobody can enter at this point in time.
Yes, nobody can enter your infrastructure.
But that is damaging, right? Your business, right? You cannot run your business. You're pretty much closing all the ports.
Yeah, of course. At that time, you cannot run your business. But if there is such kind of attack, then during such kind, you need to do such kind of things to avoid losses.
Oh, okay. So
Basically,
in NACL, yeah,
there
go ahead.
was a company in Mumbai, India, and it was running some, it was serving some users' data. They have lots of data of users, and during the ransom attack, the system was got corrupted completely, and it was all the data was spreading maliciously to every server by server. It was going and spreading all the virus. So when they hire certain solution architect expert, so the thing that they did is just they enable this network access control list, and their business of course gets stopped, but at the same time they were save a lot of money. They were incurring loss of daily more than 1 crore rupees.
Oh, okay.
So during such kind of thing, you should just enable this network access controlling and deny all the ports until you figure out what exactly the problem is. Because there are certain things that needs to be at the software level also. Whatever the software that developer have designed, there will be a certain case where you will find that the code is not correct, and because of that, there is some issues are happening. Now to update that code, to upgrade that patch, it will take certain time. So meantime you can do is you can uh, just provide the network access control list and deny all the port to incur
Okay.
unuseful charges. Okay,
So
so just now.
NACL basically, if I understood correctly, NACL basically uses network access control list, basically uses to block all the ports during the emergency times because somebody is attacked our network, so we are stopping. Pretty much was blocking all the ports. No one can get into our systems. The meantime, we can troubleshoot what's happening and we can fix the issues.
Correct, that is just a one scenario. Now network access control is not only subjected to block all the things, you can
Yeah, you can
also.
enable also one by one by subject. You can enable by case.
Yeah, you can also have a property to enable it. So for example, in your infrastructure there are 4 servers running, okay, under a single instance or under 2 subnets, okay. Now these 2 subnets have 4 EC2 instances, and they are connecting to the internet via 80 port and 443 port. So what you can do is you can create a routes in the network access control list, defining that first rule, which is denied to all the ports, even 80 and 443. The next port you can allow is to have 443 allowed, and then you can allow 80 port. So what will happen if any other connection coming apart from 80 and 443 will be denied automatically. So such
Okay.
kind of tools also you can create.
Okay. Thank you.
Now the difference is, at the security group also does the same thing, but security group is just subjected to have access over a particular instance, whereas a network access control is act at a subnet level. So whatever the instances running inside the subnet will be all be either allowed or denied. So you
Okay.
can active or you can modify the permission for multiple EC2 instances. It's like the changing the policy at the group level or at the
User
IMU.
level. Yeah.
Exactly. Okay.
Okay, sir.
So that was a network access control list for the VPC for the subnet. Now this access control list at the S3 is different. So if I go to the permission, remember while creating this bucket, we have this 4 information for checklist, that is block new public access control list and uploading public objects. So which means even if you try to make this bucket publicly and tell other users to upload the file, so this kind of thing will not be allowed. So remove this one. Remove public access grant through public ACL. Now, what we are trying to do is we are trying to make our that particular object public. So that's because of this we are not able to do that. Manage public bucket policy for this bucket, which means block new public bucket policy. The file or the folder, sorry, the file or the bucket that you want to make it publicly available. Do you want to block that? Currently it was yes. Block public and cross account. So if this is enabled, you cannot share this bucket or any kind of data with another AWS account, or you cannot make it public. So if you remove all this option and save this policy by confirming, now if I try to just make this bucket public once again, file, I say success. Let's open this file, text.txt, and it says, hi, this is version 1. Can you see this? Hi, this is
Yes,
version
yes,
1.
yes, Lalit.
So what I will do, I will just change the details of that file from this is version 1 to this is version 2.
Okay,
This is text.txt, and we'll try to upload the same file. And directly click on upload. Okay. So now if I go back, I again click make public this file and try to open now this. I should say this is version 2, but still saying this is version 1. Why? So as you can see, there are two versions available. Uh, on April 16, 2019 at 8 o'clock GMT, we have uploaded this file, and now at April 18, 2019, at this time we are uploaded. This is the latest version. But I guess there is some issue and our file is not able to upload. Uh, okay, there is something error that is getting fail again and again. Mm, versioning is unable. Public access setting false. Access control is not required. Okay, now you can see this is version 2. The file that
yes,
we uploaded.
yeah,
So in this way, you can maintain the same different files based on computer, and you can enable it anytime. If I want to go, if I want to have this April 16 version, then I can just simply click on here, and this is the April 16 version, which is version 1. This is version 1.
okay, sounds good.
Yeah. The next thing is logging. So whatever it's like a VPC flow log only, but it's called server access log here. If you just enable this, and here you can choose where you want to dump this folder, or whatever the logs that this bucket will have, where you want to dump all this folder. Do you want to dump in the same bucket, as it will just show me a single bucket, because in the Asia specific Singapore region I have only one single bucket. That's why if you have multiple bucket in the same region, it will show a list of things where you can dump your data. Let's say logs. I just want to create one folder with /logs, and it should dump all this data in the log folder. Save. And here I just create or just rename this folder. Where is the rename option? Okay, logs. Now whatever the logs will come, whatever the logs will be generated, it will be sent in this folder. To see the logs, it will take certain minutes, basically 5 minutes it usually takes for the CloudWatch to see what exactly happening, and then it will dump the data. So let's wait for the another 5 minutes. The another thing is static web hosting. Now you can host your website for free using this static web hosting tool. You can dump all your static data, HTML, CSS, etc. Now, what usually company do right in today's day is if they have both the content, that is static and dynamic, what they do, they upload all the static data, whatever the HTML, CSS, JavaScript in the website is, they upload all this data in the S3, and whatever the data which is dynamic, they put on their EC2 server. Okay, and they make this kind of configuration that whatever the information will be required for the static and for the dynamic should be diverted from their origin path, like whatever the CSS, HTML, JavaScript will be required to design the page or to just show you the interface, that should be taken from the S3, and whatever the backend thing will be required, the PHP or kind of things, that will be taken from the server. So companies also do such kind of things. Now, for static web hosting, this is your endpoint. Okay, this is the endpoint where you can test your website. So use this bucket to host a site, and here it asks two files. First is index document, and second is error document. And index document is nothing but a welcome page. So in your website there will be a index.html page or welcome.html page or any kind of page that will be, first page, your first page. So that you can define, in my case, let's say it's index.html. And second is error document, which means if your website is down due to any reason, if the index.html or any of this file is not working due to some error, then what message should this web server shows on the browser? Sometimes we see like if there is a
This
maintenance going on,
website is down, something like that.
yeah, kind of that. So this is completely optional. If you want to have included, then you can include it. Otherwise, just save it. So I have just created this file. I have just inserted this name of the file as index.html. Let's save it. Now we have done like we have said that the path to the my web hosting is index.html, but we don't have any index.html in our data. So what we'll do, we will first create an index.html page. Do you know basic format of index HTML for language?
The HTML tags and then body, heading, right? That kind
Yeah,
of things, right? Title.
yeah. HTML, let's say body and h1. This is static web hosting. Index.html. Okay, I have just created a file with index.html. Let me just,
What did you use? You used a notepad or something? It's black in color.
yeah, it was a
Your
notepad
editor
only.
basically. Notepad. Okay.
Yeah, so I will just upload the same file index.html here. Next, 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 upload. If I just make public and open this file, it says this is static web hosting. But this is not exactly the thing that you need to do, because we are opening a particular file. not a static web hosting. So to do that, you need to go again to the properties, whatever the domain is, you need to click on here, and now whatever the content you will find, that is your domain. This is how the static web hosting works. Now you can upload any kind of template or your actual website here, and it will look similarly. If you see at the domain is like AWS training Lalit AWS, that is my bucket name, dot S3 website hyphen AP Southeast, that is a region, and Amazon AWS.com. So this is the domain. Whenever you try to hit this domain, you will find my website. I'm just sharing the same on your chat screen. You can also see.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah, can you try it now? Can you try to open this link into your browser?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Let me do this.
Yeah.
You sent me a chat window, right?
Yeah.
Where is it? Mm, I didn't receive anything yet. Where is it?
You need to see in the chat section. I have
Chat.
sent to all.
Uh, chat. Hmm. Where exactly is this chat? I'm not seeing. Um,
Are you using web console or the application?
I am using audio screen, maybe screen. Hmm. No, I did not receive anything, Lalit.
Okay, can you just copy this? Can you just write in your website on your browser? AWS
Uh,
training
Sorry, Lalit, AWS. 1 second, let
dot
me try.
hyphen website.
1 second, sir. I am trying.
Yeah.
HTTP. Oops. HTTP. GP AWS training.
Hyphen Lalit.
AWS training. Icon. Lalit.
Hyphen AWS.
Lalit. Hyphen AWS.
Dot S3.
AWS. What is that?
AWS training hyphen Lalit hyphen AWS dot S3 hyphen website.
Dot S3. Dot
Yeah.
S3, right?
Yeah.
Dot S3.
Hyphen
AWS.
website.
Hyphen a website.
Hyphen AP.
Hyphen AP. AP.
Yeah. Asia Pacific AP.
Okay.
Hyphen Southeast.
Southeast.
Hyphen one.
ONE1.
No, just digital one.
Okay.
Dot Amazon AWS.com.
AWS.com. This is a static web hosting.
Exactly. This is how you can upload your website. Now,
Wow.
Now, if you see, this is a domain that is, of course, not properly readable, or you cannot use it, to tell your customers or client, this is my website, of course, correct? So
Right,
what
right.
you can just buy a domain on AWS, or you can transfer your domain to AWS, and then to that AWS domain or your domain, you can just map this endpoint. For
But
example,
let's say if I have a domain outside, how do I configure that in AWS? That you said
that
DNS, that's different, right?
no, we can also transfer that domain from other domain register to AWS. But again, here you need to buy for 1 single year at least minimum.
No, no, no. I'm not transferring basically. I bought a domain other
In that
Vendor,
domain,
but I will be hosting here.
yeah, in that domain register, there will be an option of DNS forwarding. So
Or
with
DNS
that DNS
forwarding.
forwarding, you can just enable, you can just enter this website.
DNS enabling for DNS forwarding, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Okay. And if you have any domain in your AWS account, now what you can do, you can just simply map that domain with this endpoint. For example, if you have an example.com domain, then now you can map this endpoint with that domain.com. So whenever you hit to the example.com, it will be triggered to this endpoint. But one thing I would like to tell you, like if you are having a domain in another registrar and you are doing DNS forwarding, at that time you will incur a little high charges than you have a domain in AWS. The reason is we will look into the Route 53. Basically, it's AWS Route 53 queries. The pricing is depends on the queries made to the Route 53. So if multiple queries have been made to this, Route 53 or to this endpoint, it will charge you a lot.
Okay.
Yes. So this is just a demo. So what we will do, we will just download and sample file, HTML file, and we'll see how it looks. So if you
Okay,
can
sir.
Google, yeah,
Okay, Rajesh.
sample HTML template. If you Google this, you will find this is site freecss.com, which gives you free, copyright material. So for example, this is my website. This is my website, and I'm just downloading this website. I want this one. It's downloading. Okay. So this is the data. What I will do now, I will go to the S3 console overview. And first of all, I need to delete this index.html file. What would be the reason is because this is the index.html file and the document that I am now uploading, it also have a index.html file. Though versioning
Okay.
is it will always allow the latest version, but for the best cases, I don't want it, so I'm just removing this part. Now you can see here this document has multiple folders, that is CSS, font, images, and JS. Okay, and this is only single document. Now if you try to upload this kind of document to S3, you need to create all these four folders: CSS, font, images, JS, and then you need to manually insert all this data one by one, which will be a very time consuming. And this is a very small project, or this is a very small template. That's why it has only four folder. But if you see in your actual project, there will be a hell lot of folders available. A lot of documents are available. So during that time, what you can do is you can just simply click on upload here, okay, and then select all the files and folder and just drag to here. It will automatically create this folders .css, which has three objects, images has six objects, JS has six objects, font has six objects, so that you don't need to manually upload all this, or you don't need to manually create all the folders and upload every single file again and again. With this, you will get all the data ready.
Okay.
Next, and here we will allow the permission to as read public access, because it is on internet, as we allow the 80 port and 443 port to enable so that anyone on the internet can see the data. So we need to allow the read access, public access. The same thing we did to index.html file that we have previously done. We have just at that time there was a single file, so we have just clicked make public. But as this time there are multiple files, so we are doing at the permission level here. We are granting all the files to have public read access. So anyone on the internet can read these files. Next, next, and upload. Due to some reason, some of the files are getting fail again. It's because of the Safari. Okay, and again, if I go to the properties, static variables, and hit this domain, can you open the same link that I have shared with you previously?
Yeah, sure, sure. Let me. Yeah, now I'm getting correctly. Yeah.
Exactly. It looks the same your website,
Right, right, right.
all the CSS, all
Yeah,
the
using the, yeah,
design and all the
I'm getting the same thing. Just a static website.
yeah, just a static. You are not allowed to have any dynamic pages here. Only static
But
will
they
work
don't
here.
charge anything, right? This is free.
Yeah, this is it. Only you need to pay for the amount of storage that you are consuming.
Right. How do they
So
calculate how much I'm consuming? Because all these files they calculate size.
yeah, so if you can see this file is 20 bytes, this file is 7.7 KB, the another file, this one. So if you go inside each folder, you will find there will be a certain size of that file. So all this file need to be, they will calculate and they will charge accordingly. Now it also depends.
During the first 1 year time, they don't charge, right? That is a free.
Basically, for the free tier, you get 5 GB of S3 storage for free every month. And if you go
Okay.
beyond the 5 GB, it will be chargeable.
Okay.
Okay. Uh, let's see, we have got logs or not. Still, we don't have logs here. Okay, let's go. So we have seen these things. Object level, this is the same. That is, if you want to enable at the particular object level, you can enable this. Encryption, if you want to encrypt your bucket or a particular folder, and then you can do this encryption. Object log, as I told you last session, we cannot do this once we have created a bucket. We can only perform this action while the bucket is in creation mode. So if I go and I try to enable this option, it throws me a message that object log cannot be enabled only when a bucket is created. So it can be done only while creating a bucket. Another thing I mentioned you that the tags. So AWS S3 tags are chargeable.
Yeah, you said chargeable. Yeah.
Yeah. Other tags like EC2 VPC they are not chargeable, but S3 tags are chargeable because S3 services are globally available. Whatever the buckets you create are globally available. Needs to be globally present. That's why they charge because they need to fire a query, a lot of queries to show you the data. So that's why AWS S3 tags are chargeable. Then we have transfer acceleration. A transfer acceleration is something that if I am sitting in the Mumbai region and this bucket is created in Mumbai region, but you are sitting in the US, that is you are my client, and you are sitting in the US region. For you to send me data will be having a high latency compared to what upload the data on S3 because my region because the bucket where I have created this all the data is nearest to me but is not nearest to you. So if I enable this option, what it will do, it will accelerate the translation. Whatever the upload you will do, you will upload it to your region or your nearest edge location, and from that edge location, it will send data to the my bucket. Now this will incur an additional fee. So whatever you do will require an additional fee.
Okay.
So what would the scenario where you will require this kind of feature is for example, you are sitting in the Mumbai, okay, your infrastructure is in Mumbai, and but your clients are situated across the globe. They are from US, UK, Canada, Australia, everywhere from the world. So during such kind of thing, and when your client uploads a huge data like GBs of data or terabytes of data on S3, at that time you can use this feature. If the document is like 1 MB, 2 MB, 10 MB, or 1 GB also, at that time you don't need to enable this kind of option. But if the size of the file is too big and you are having the clients across the region, then you can enable this feature.
Okay, Bharat.
Then we have events. So event is a push notification system from S3 to three places: SQS, SNS, and Lambda. So to create a notification, you can create a notification with this kind of fields: put, post, copy, multipart, upload complete, all buckets created, all buckets deleted, etc. etc. So let's say put. So whenever a new file is uploaded, you will receive an email, or you can process that folder. We have yesterday, day before yesterday, we have seen a scenario, that is serverless application scenario. Like if somebody is uploading a resume on my S3 bucket, as soon as it is uploaded, it should trigger me a notification that one resume has been uploaded. Please check, kind of thing. So you can do also same kind of automation here. You can select the destination as SNS topic, SQS
Okay.
if you want to process that queue. If you want to
Okay.
process in a queue, then you can set it to SQS. If you want to process that file, you want to extract the data once it is uploaded, you can just add lambda function that process that data and add the details here. Now prefix is like if it is if that if that PDF file is uploading into a PDF section, if you want to process, if you want to enable this option on a particular folder only, let's say we have logs folder. Okay, so whatever is happening on the log folder, if any kind of file is being created on the log, then it will create a send a notification. So you can use a prefix. You can also use a suffix, like if any kind of PDF file is only uploaded to my S3 bucket, then only it should trigger me a notification, or then only it should trigger the lambda function. So you can also use prefix or suffix, any of this option, or you can use both of this option.
Okay.
Let's say SNS, and if you have any kind of SNS topic, we haven't seen the SNS, so we will not go through this. Once we go through the SNS also, then we will figure it out what exactly. We will come back again here in the lambda and the SNS part.
Okay.
And the last feature is the request or pay, where you only pay for the amount of storage that you will be consuming, and your customer will pay the fee, whatever the retrieval fee of the data. Okay, so for example, you are serving some content on the internet, but of course, if it charges you, you will not serve the request, serve the data for a longer period. So what you can do, like you can just tell your user to buy that, to pay for the amount of retrieval fee, whatever it is, and you can just pay for the amount of storage that you are going to consume. So this kind of things you can do it here.
Lalit, question. So
Yes.
Amazon hosts all the movies, right? So we normally watch movies from Amazon. So that means Amazon storage anyway there, so they may be paying for that. But if I am watching that movie, means it's not downloading, but it's a continuous streaming, right? So for that
Yes,
streaming, I will be paying rent basically, something like that.
correct. Now the
Okay.
scenario works here is like they upload all the files, they upload all the video files on the S3. Okay, from S3 there are certain AWS services which stream you. AWS mobile stream, AWS media streaming. These services you can see it here. Okay, media services, that is Elastic transcoder, which transcode your application. Then we have Kinesis Video Sim for enabling the video streams available. Media Connect is a thing that that will show all this AWS services streaming. So with the Media Connect, you can just say my source endpoint is from S3 bucket this file, and it should be streamed on my Amazon Prime. Now, who can access to this data? So to have authentication of this data, you can use either AWS Cognito service. Cognito also enables authentication of user, or you can also create a temporary IAM user. Okay, so whenever a new user signs up, you can just enable IAM user. You can just provide him authentication as a IAM user with only privileges as read-only data to this media content. Okay,
Okay.
so in this
Okay.
way, you can just stream all the data.
Okay.
I previously worked on a project that was, Indian television. The new channel was coming online, and I worked for that. So during this period, we have seen all these kind of scenes here.
Okay. Great.
So in the permission section, we have already seen the public access setting. Now, access control is something that if you want to share this entire bucket, if you want to share this bucket with another AWS account, you can just add this account. If you want to have S3 to have public access, all the files needs to be publicly available. Then you can add it here. And the thing is bucket policy. Now, if you are enabling this bucket policy option to everyone on the internet, like anyone on the anonymous people on the internet can, see your data. But if you want to restrict certain parts of that, you can just write a rule here. Now, this kind of rule is similar to your policy, the IAM policy that we have used to create. In the same way, you can just enable this option. So if you don't know how to write, there is an option of policy generator. You can click here. And here you can say select the policy type, that is ST bucket policy. What kind of effect? Let's say deny all user of S3 to select action to, let's say, delete this bucket. So nobody on the internet, the principle means what kind of user. If you have any specific user, if you want to only deny a specific user, you can just use their ARN. Every user has an ARN. Okay, so if you want to deny a particular user or multiple user, you can just mention here what kind of user it is, and this comma or this asterisk might define all the user, which means anyone on the internet, any anonymous people. So storm is all. So all these people are denied to delete this bucket or delete this bug object, let's say, and you can just add whatever the things you need to add. And let's say if you want to have, let me just copy this ARN. This is the ARN, and let's say index.html. Now, index.html will be not allowed to anyone on the internet people to delete this bucket or to delete this bucket policy. Okay, and you can just add some conditional things, and you can just create this kind of file. So this is
Okay.
how deny all this permission. Then in the management section, we have life cycle. Okay, so what exactly life cycle is? Can you just recall?
Uh, Life cycle basically, what is it? So the
A life
moment you
cycle.
created that bucket, how are the things, what's happening with that bucket? Something like that, right?
Okay, so life cycle is a migrating tool. Okay, so for example, if you have uploaded a file, let's say a resume, which is only required to have access for the 30 days initially, then you can
Right.
go with the
Oh, okay. Now
standard.
I remember. Yes, 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 yes.
Yeah. After 30 days, if you don't want that file or the access to this file is infrequent, then you can move it to infrequent access and then move it to Glacier. So this
Right,
kind of
right,
life
right.
cycle you
Correct.
can create to save your cost and save your space. So to do that, you can just enable add lifecycle rule. enter rule name. Let's call test. Any prefix you want to enable on a specific
Right.
folder that you mention, or if you have multiple files with the same key and name tags actually, then you can tell here only. Next, storage class transition. So what is the storage class from standard to infrequent and infrequent to glacier? Whatever the transition is happening, on which object do you want to enable? So if you remember, we have enable versioning. Okay. Now versioning has two versions. One is current version and one are the previous version. Correct.
Yes.
Now, which version do you want to enable? Let's say on the current version. Okay. So add transition. So let's say now I am in my standard, or the file that I have created is in the standard version. I want to move it to 30 day after 30 days to infrequent access. Now you cannot send the data to infrequent access below 30 days. So if I say standard infrequent access after, the minimum duration is 30 days. If I go and say 30 or 29 also, it's not acceptable. The minimum is 30 required. Now let's add one more transition. After infrequent, let's say add to glacier. Now sending to glacier, your file must be in the standard infrequent access for the next 60 days. That is a basic rule. So let's say after 60 days, it should go to the glacier. So you will get your data on the glacier on the 61 on the 60th day. Now let's say after 30 days, okay, we'll just remove this part. And the same I want to have on my previous version, whatever the number of versions available, I want to do the same. So, or let's say, let's move it to directly Glacier. So you can just send it to data to Glacier after 1 day. Click on next. And this is, this is a expiration configuration, like whatever the things that you are deleting or when you want to delete your existing data, so that you can modify it here, like your current version. So we have our data available in the glacier till 60th day, correct? Now let's say on my
Right.
65th day, I want this all the data to be deleted automatically. I don't want this kind of data anymore. Or let's say after 365 days, that is 1 year, after it goes to the glacier, I don't want the data. This is very too much older data. I don't want that data. So I can just delete this data after 365. It will do automatically. The
Or
same thing will happen.
you can back it up and delete, right?
No, it's not. It will not take any kind of backup.
Oh, okay.
Basically, it's already in the glacier, which means it's already having a backup. Now, this kind of thing will not work here. Backup. It will not take any kind of backup. It will just directly terminate, and it will directly delete all this data.
Okay.
Okay. Click on next, and you can just review all the things what you have done, and click on save. So from the day the data has been created, since then it will wait for that another 30 days to move it to infrequent access. Once it is reaches to 30 days, then it will stay for the another 60 days. And after 60 days, it will go to the glacier, and after 365 days, it will automatically delete all the files. So this is
Okay.
something lifecycle management.
Okay.
And then the last option that we will look into S3 is replication. That is transfer of data from one region to another region. Okay, you can replicate your data from one bucket to another bucket or one region to another region. Now there were one condition that we have discussed while having the replication is to allow the replication, you need to enable versioning. You need to enable versioning at both the buckets. Okay, not only a single bucket, but you need a versioning enabled on both the buckets. Now let's create a rule, and you can enter, let's say, entire bucket I want to replicate. Replicate object encrypted with AWS KMS. Do you want to encrypt the if any file is encrypted with the AWS KMS, then you want to replicate that part also. If you want, then you can go with that. Next, select bucket. So where I want to dump this bucket. So these are the all my buckets available. Let's say I want to send it to download data Lalit. And during the process, do you want to change the replication object? Okay. Now this is a feature that I was talking about. That this bucket doesn't have versioning enabled. And I mentioned that to replicate the data, you need to enable versioning on both the sides. So as this bucket don't have versioning, so it's telling me to enable this versioning. So if I just click
Okay.
on enable versioning, it will just enable the versioning of that bucket also. Now, just consider a scenario. You are already having all the data in your first bucket with standard, storage class. Okay, which means you are paying for the every single object you retrieve. Now, as this replication is for just to have a backup copy of your data, is it required to have the same storage class? Because we are totally infrequently using this data. We are replicating this data for as a backup or for disaster recovery kind of things. So, do you think that we require standard one?
I don't think so, right?
Exactly. So why we should pay for the standard one as the charges are high and the retrieval
Yeah.
fee is too high. So what you can do for the replicating of data, you can send the data to different storage class. Let's go with the infrequent access. Okay. For the next bucket, whatever the object will be uploaded, all will be in the standard infrequent.
Okay.
Okay. Next, you can just select a role. So basically now sending a data from one bucket to another bucket, it will require a role. You can create a role. If you the role is create a new role, you can say here and just name a rule. Let's call S3 replication. It will automatically create a new role. Next and save.
Okay.
Okay, this kind of replication is been enabled. Now if I go to my download bucket, you will not find any of this data which is present in my previously bucket is present here. But as soon as I upload the data in this bucket, let's say once again, this test.txt. As soon as I upload this data, it will be also sent to my another bucket. Now you can see test.txt is available. This came automatically in my another bucket download data.lalit.
Okay.
So this is all about S3. There are different properties, permission, and the management part that we have discussed.
Okay.
Okay. Any doubt, anything in the S3 part?
I mean, now I'm sure I do not have any doubts. Definitely down the line I may be having. So yeah, I do not know when are you thinking to finish up this classes, Lalit? Give me a ballpark date. Before that, I need to really practice well and ask questions. Whatever it is, basically. If you can give me
Basically
some
today
kind of
is
date, that would
18.
be great.
Yeah. So today is 18, and today by we have another one more session right now. So we will be covering the RDS part today. Okay. So if we
One more
able
hour.
to finish, sorry.
One more hour now.
No, we also have one more session today at 7, from 7 to 8.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. So during the time we will complete the RDS part, that is relational database. And if we able to finish that today, then on 22nd of April, that is Monday, again we will connect and we will see application services and DNS. Okay. Now both of these will have certain practical sessions and some of them require only a theoretical session only. So we'll look into that on Monday. Then on 23rd, we will be touching on let's say cloud formation. On 23, we will be looking on the only on the cloud formation. Cloud formation require time, and you need to also have a practice on. I would suggest you please try the VPC, the networking part by this weekend. That will be very
Okay.
helpful for you in the cloud formation. Otherwise,
Yeah,
you will not have any idea about what exactly cloud formation is.
that's
And
what
one of
I'm
the
thinking. This weekend, I think I need to dedicate my time towards whatever you said so far. So
yes, exactly.
I will definitely get some time this weekend. So until Friday, I do not get. Saturday, Sunday, I will get some time before Sunday night class,
Just
our
try
time.
to understand, or even just try to recap the VPC part, because if you can have that knowledge once again repeated, it will be very easy for you to understand the cloud formation.
Yeah, yeah.
Otherwise, the difficulty you will face a lot of difficulty while understanding the cloud formation.
So when are you thinking you'll be finishing everything? So I just wanted to get some
Yeah.
feel.
So on 22nd, we are looking for the application service in the DNS. On 23, we are having a cloud formation. Then on 24th, all the application services like CloudWatch, CloudTrail, CloudFront, and Elastic Beanstalk we will look into. And on 25th, probably we would be able to finish this class by Lambda and Well Architecture Framework.
Route 53, did you say? When are you finishing? Route 53?
Route 53 on 22nd.
22nd.
Yeah.
It looks like next week you are trying to finish up by next week.
Yeah.
Okay. So after that, I think, what is your plan? Like that's all, or we maybe reconnecting for any questions in just
You can just take my email ID, and if you have any kind of doubt, you can just drop me an email.
okay. You are giving, or I need to take that your email address from Archana.
Anything is sounds okay to me. A better way I would say to take it from Archana itself.
Okay,
That
sounds
would be
good.
great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. So yeah, there is one more service called Snowball. That is a storage service. Uh, so Snowball is nothing but when you want to move terabytes or petabytes of data from your on-premise network to S3 or from S3 to your on-premise network. There will be a scenario like you have already, physical infrastructure in your, there is a physical infrastructure available on-premise your network, and there are lots of data, terabytes or petabytes of data. And now you are completely migrating your services to AWS Cloud, a migration type of project you are dealing with. So for such kind of thing, uploading terabytes or petabytes of data will be definitely difficult part. There will be a lot of bandwidth will be required, and there will be a certain case where if the bandwidth goes down, then all the things that you were trying to upload will be lost. So what Snowball is offering you a device which will connect to your physical infrastructure. You can send the data in that device, and then Amazon will help you to upload that data on S3. So Snowball is a petabyte scale data transfer solution that uses devices designed to be secure to transfer large amounts of data in and out of the AWS cloud. You can also import the data to the AWS, or if you want to export the data, petabytes of terabytes of data from S3 to your physical infrastructure, or what kind of things you want to do, then also Snowball will help you with that. It basically is used for the large amount of data, like you can see here, petabyte scale of data. Snowball addresses common challenges with large-scale data transfer, including high network cost, long transfer times, and security concern. Snowball is fast, more secure, and can be little as one-fifth of the cost of transferring data via high-speed internet. So whatever the things that you will pay for the high-speed internet connection, it costs only one-fifth of that part. Okay. So basically, a Snowball is not an AWS service; it's basically an AWS device. So let me just show you. Yeah. So this is a device. Okay. Now, if you want to import or export any kind of data, you need to request on Amazon Snowball service, and they will take your address details. And once you provide that address detail, Amazon guy will come to your location. Okay. Now you can just plug in. There will be a wire available with this device. You can just plug this device with your data center. You can then start transferring of this data. Once you are done with transferring of the data, you can just request for a callback, and Amazon person will come to your location. They will pick up this delivery and upload that data back going to the AWS data center. Now, during this all this process, whenever
Does it
this kind
cost anything for us? Like the person is coming, going, right? They will do everything. Does it
yeah,
cost?
the delivery charge is not payable, but for requesting this AWS Snowball, that is chargeable. Using of this snowball service is chargeable, which is 1/5 of what exactly you are going to pay for the network bandwidth. So you
Okay.
can say it's one of the cheapest option available. Okay. Now one important feature is like whenever Amazon sends you this kind of device, they encrypt this device from their side. And when you connect this via cable with your data center, the first thing that you need to do is you need to encrypt from your side also. So it's like two-way encryption. Okay, and they have one portfolio or they have one interface where you can do all these things like creating a encryption, and you need to also specify in which region. Sorry, the region would be definitely same, I guess, or if there is a different region, then you can just mention in which region do you want to upload this kind of data and name of the bucket. So what Amazon will do while taking the delivery, they will upload all the data to that particular bucket in that particular region.
Okay.
Okay, so this is just a theoretical session. We don't have any kind of practicals in this session. Okay, it requires a petabytes of data to transfer that in AWS. So there is the completion of the database part, sorry, storage part. Let's have RDS into. Now, similar to your EC2 instance, in your EC2 section also you can create a database. Okay, you can just call yum install MySQL, yum install SQL, and you can install all the software, and then you can run your database.
Lalit, what
Yes,
is CSA associate when I am looking at yours, right? AWS CSA associate. CSA means?
solution architect,
Okay, okay, good.
uh, AWS certified solution architect associate.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was saying like you can also run your database in your local machine, that is in your.
Is it very difficult to take this exams, certification exams? How many questions they will give you?
They
How
will
much
ask
time?
basically the now timings are changed. Uh, AWS CSA. Basically, now if you opt for the certification, you have too many benefits. Like previously, it was validated only for 2 years, but now it is valid for 3 years. Whatever the exam you will give, which will be validated for next 3 years. And there is also option for the recertification. So the timing is 130 minutes, and the question will be approximately 60 to 70 questions. In for exam point of view, I would say like you need to know deep understanding of AWS services. Of course, you will require a hands-on lab, but more than that, for exam point of view, I would say to have more on theoretical knowledge. You need to know deep understanding of how theoretically this all these things works. Secondly,
Right, right.
AWS exams, the question will be based on the scenario. Like we discussed, if someone is trying to upload your file from, a resume is uploading, and how
Snowball,
we look.
something like that. Yeah.
So this kind of scenario will be asked in the exam, and you need to select one of the best suitable service out
No,
of
but
that.
whatever scenario they will give, but they will give multiple choice answers, right? You need to pick one of
Yeah,
them.
yeah. There will be one question, and minimum four MC options will be there. And there are certain questions where you need to select two or three options. So at
Okay.
that time you will
Instead
have
of rated
five.
buttons, it is based check marks. You need to check multiple answers.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. You don't need to write anything. There will be no questions of writing the theoretical anything. There will be all question based on the MCQs, and there will be a certain question which require two or three answers. So for such kind of question, they will note give you note like this kind of question will need to you need to select two different answers, and there will be five different options available.
Right,
There
but
will
there
be
are
certain
any negative marking for any incorrect
uh,
answering?
basically AWS never tells like what is the weightage of the questions and what will be the negative marking. So AWS basically don't have any negative marking, but the weightage is also not fixed. For certain question, the weightage will be high. For certain question, the weightage will be low. Okay, so
Okay.
depending upon the scenario, how complex the scenario is, they will increase the weightage. Certain question based on the troubleshooting, like just we discussed today. If there is a DDoS attack or any kind of attack, and you are incurring a lot of losses, at that time, what you can do? So if there is
Yes.
option of
Yeah.
ACL, then just enable that ACL and deny all such kind of things. So certain troubleshooting kind of question will be there also.
But do we have any? I mean, for preparation's sake, if I ask you simply, do I have go to guide or go to material, go to some question dump to practice? Anything
Uh,
for that matter.
yeah. So for dump, I would not say to rely completely on dump. Basically, AWS have hundreds of thousands of sites available, and every time you give exam or if same during the same time, if 100 people are giving this exam, you or 100 people will receive different papers. Okay, so do not rely on dumps any. Every day the new questions are arriving and they are having some different kinds of questions available, so do not rely on dump, but you
Right.
can use certain types of dumps to just understand what kind of scenarios will be asked. Now,
Oh,
by
okay.
the end
Okay.
of this session, our session, I will share you with you certain question and certain example. It will be like 200 or 250 questions that, so you can just study that, but do not rely on those questions. That is just an example what kind of questions will be asked in the exam.
Oh, okay.
Secondly, yeah, I will also share certain white papers and certain documentation that you can refer before going to the exam. So that
That was
white paper
very
will
nice.
help you, yeah. So the white paper will help you a lot for understanding this question, understanding this different scenario. Once we have finished this well architecture framework, that is our last topic of this entire course. At that time, you will understand. And from that point, you need to think from the scenario based, like what would be the scenario and how to tackle such kind of scenario. Okay. So there are certain well architecture frameworks, white papers available that I will share with you, or you can just download from the AWS documentation itself. Both are same, and you need to more and more focus on that part. If you are going for the exam, then I would recommend you at least for the next 4 to 5 days each day. You need to read all these white papers and well architecture framework part. With this kind of thing, we will learn a lot of things how to design the scenario and what would the best solution offering
Yeah.
all this
Yeah.
part.
Yeah. Sounds good. Thank you, Lalit.
Yeah.
I will definitely take certification, even though I'm not going. I'm not hands-on guy, Lalit. Just let you know, I'm just learning to manage my people. That's all. But
Okay.
just to know, I still just for my curiosity and as well as I just wanted to get the things done. So whether it's certification, whatever it is, even though I do not have time, I'm making some time towards this. So literally speaking, I do not have any time, but still I'm making some time. So with that
Yeah.
said, I think I will definitely take exam. Yeah.
Okay. So now let's come back to the RDS part. And as I was mentioning that you can also design or you can create your own local database in your EC2 also. For example, you are running a PHP based application in your EC2, and if the PHP requires any kind of database, then you can also the database in the same EC2 instance as similar like we do in our Windows computer. We use the Apache server, and we also download the MySQL server, and we start both the services, and then we create a project. In a similar way, you can also do that. Now, this kind of things is suitable when your infrastructure is low. If you are running just a PHP site or any kind of small site, at that time it is fine. But if you are running a huge production account, like any financial account or any startup that will require a lot of data, that during such kind of thing, it is recommended to go with the separate RDS instances. Now, AWS offers the RDS separate instances. It's not like EC2 instance and you can just configure everything. AWS is offering its own managed services with RDS. You don't need to install any of these packages. For example, if you are running a MySQL database, then you won't require to download or you don't need to configure any of this thing. AWS will do for you. So what exactly is, let's see. Amazon RDS is a web service that makes it easy to set up, operate, and scale a relational database in the cloud. It provides cost-efficient resizable capacity for any industry-standard relational database and manages common database administration tasks. So here also you can automatically scale your capacity, and it's one of the cost-efficient way, because whatever the instance type that you have seen in the EC2, the RDS instances are different from that. Whatever the instances type are offering in the Amazon RDS, these are efficient from the transitional point of view, because RDS will require a huge input output operation. There will be a continuous read and write operation will going on to the RDS. So RDS instances are designed in such a way that it can handle a high transitional input and output. So it's a better way. You should go with the RDS when you have a huge infrastructure. Then we have RDS engines. They are separate, different engines are available. First is Aurora, which is you cannot find on the internet. It is Amazon managed service, which is Aurora. It's named as Aurora. It's just an engine. We support currently two types of database, that is MySQL and PostgreSQL. These are the two database systems, and Aurora is an Amazon design engine. Then we have open source databases like MySQL, PostgreSQL, and MariaDB. You don't require any license to run all this machine. It's a license free, that is public free license. And then we have commercial kinds of engines called Oracle and MySQL Server. Now to run this kind of servers or this kind of databases, you will require to buy a license. Now you have two options to buy a license. If you are already running an infrastructure, or if you are having already a license key for your existing database, you can just give it to Amazon for use of this kind of database, or you can let Amazon to buy a license for you. So you have both the option. Whenever you select this Oracle database, you have two kinds of options available. That is, bring your own license, BYOL. You will find Oracle BYOL and Oracle's commercial. This kind of two options you will find on the AWS console. So
But you said
BYOL.
initially you said we don't have to buy any licenses, and Amazon definitely will take care of. We will be focusing on our applications, right? But this is basically since it is a commercial.
No, that I said for the server part, for the managed services, that you don't need to
Okay.
maintain any server or any kind of things. This is a separate license. So basically, what would the reason, like you can buy a license for certain companies, they are already having an on-premise network, on-premise infrastructure. So for that kind of infrastructure, they have already buy certain licenses. For Microsoft licenses, for Oracle, for SQL licenses, they have already purchased that. Now, if you want to use those licenses, you have that option. If you don't want to, if you don't have any kind of licenses, then you can let Amazon to buy it for you. Now, what advantage you get when Amazon it buys for you is you only pay for the license for what particular time you have used. If you have used an RDS instance, Oracle instances for only 30 minutes, So you have to pay for the license of for that 30 minutes only. You don't need to buy for the entire year or 2 year or 5 year. Basically, if you go to the market and buy a license, you need to take a license for at least 1 year. Correct?
Yeah, it's a yearly base now,
Yeah,
365.
exactly. But with Amazon, you don't need to worry about the complete 1 year subscription. You can, if you want for 30 minutes only, you will be only charged for the 30 minutes license only. So this is how Amazon is managing.
Okay.
Amazon is offering you both options. So what exactly is Amazon Aurora? So as Aurora is Amazon design services, is Amazon design engine. It gives up to 5 times the high throughput as compared to MySQL server and 3 times the throughput of PostgreSQL server. It supports up to 64 terabytes of auto scaling. Okay, and has 6-way replication across 3 LED zones. So you can replicate your infrastructure, you can replicate your instances automatically to 3 LED zones. Then there is also term of you can create up to 15 read replica with sub 10 milliseconds of replica length. Now what exactly read replica is, we'll see in the next few slides. We have a separate slide for that. And there is a automatic monitoring and failover available for this kind of service Aurora, which is less than 30 seconds. Now it is highly recommended that for a production account you should go for the Aurora. As you can see already, it has a 5 times the throughput of MySQL server and 3 times the throughput of PostgreSQL. So it is much managed services, and as you know that whatever the Amazon is providing you its own managed service, it's always beneficial. It is always a cost efficient solution. Then we have SQL, MySQL, sorry, which supports size up to 6 terabytes and instances offers up to 32 CPU and 244 GB. But if you see currently in the AWS console, you will find 768 GB of memory also. So new instances have come up which supports up to 700 Gbps of RAM. It also supports automatic backup and point-in-time recovery. So it will automatically keep a backup copy of your database, and you can restore to your database at any point from that backup snapshots. It supports cross-region read replicas. So again, read replica is a term where you can create a read copy of your database and you can send it to across different region. For example, I have designed an infrastructure in Mumbai region, okay, and people from US, UK, Australia, Canada, these people are looking to my website, to my database. They are just reading my data. Okay, they are not writing any kind of data to my website. They are just reading the data. So what I can do, I will just create a read replica to every of this region, to US, UK, Australia, Canada. So whenever they will request certain kind of database, they will get access to the data from their region. They need to, the latency will be low. They don't need to wait for a long time, and they will get the data in much faster way. Okay. Now, if any of these people from this region is trying to write any kind of data, of course there would be an option. There would be a scene where they are writing the data. So whenever a write operation is performed, it will be sent to the master node. And as soon as master node is updated, it will send a replica. It will send the updated copy of that database to the read replica. When it compared to the replica legs, so for example, if I just now updated a file in the database, so from this moment till it is get updated in the read replica, the lag whatever it will be definitely high than 10 millisecond. But if you are using Aurora, then it gives off 10 millisecond of lag. So within 10 millisecond, it will update the read copies. And MySQL comes under free tier eligible as it is license free services. Even if you want to install on your local machine MySQL, you can download and use it for free. So it doesn't require any license. Second is MariaDB, same features. It supports 6 terabyte GBps of RAM, automatic backup, point in time, read replicas, GID, that is thread pooling, and it's again free tier eligible. So same features for MariaDB. and PostgreSQL SQL also. These are all different kinds of databases available. Then it comes to Oracle, which is a commercial. I have just listed 4 different editions, standard editions of Oracle. On AWS console, you will find multiple different kinds of editions available, standard, enterprise, and other kind of editions also available. You can choose based on your infrastructure. There are different again versions available for the SQL, Microsoft SQL Server, and again this kind of servers are come with 2 options, that is BYOL or the standard one, that is bring your own license or let Amazon to buy it for you. Now read
Okay.
replicas, that is performance and disaster recovery, relieve pressure on your master node with additional read capacity. So you are relieving the pressure from your master node with all the read and write access, and you are just giving only write access to your master node, and all the read operation will be performed from the read replicas. It
Yes.
brings data close to your application in different region. So you can, as we have already seen a scenario where if customers are present from across the globe, then you can just create a read replica in their region so that your customer will reach to your database uh, in a much faster way. Currently, read-replica is supported by the Amazon Aurora and RDS like MySQL, MariaDB, and PostgreSQL. You cannot do read-replica of your Oracle machines and Microsoft SQL machines. Okay, this is important point to remember from exam point of view. You cannot create a read-replica of Oracle and Microsoft SQL Server.
Okay.
Then automatic backup, like whenever you create a RDS machine, you have an option to schedule what is the automatic backup. So schedule daily volumes backup of instance, archive database change log. You can archive all the change logs happening to your database. The maximum number of days you can retain your database, the snapshot copy of your database is 35 days. After 35 days, it will automatically delete that backups. So having an automatic backup will help you for the minimal impact on database performance. So you can just recover any point in time. And if you do not configure any pre-schedule automatic backup, then the automatic backup will be available when the database is in standby mode. For example, if you are an Indian customer and if people are from India accessing your database from, let's say, in the during the daytime only, from 9 to evening 9, and during the night time nobody access to your website. So that becomes a standby time, and then at that time you can schedule automatic backup so that there will be a minimal impact or no impact to your website, or your user will face any kind of issues. With respect to Amazon Aurora, the automatic backup are continuous and incremental backup. What exactly incremental backup is, we have seen in the EBS part.
Incremental backup, if I understood, if I recollect correctly, it's I mean, you can schedule that backing up basically, maybe hourly, something like that, right? Something like
No,
that. No?
no. For example, if you have 10 GB of data, okay, if you
Yeah.
want to take a backup of just 10 GB of data, so the first snapshot will you take will have include all the data of 10 GB. But
Correct,
next time,
correct.
let's say you
The
have taken
delta
10,
will come, deltas will come. After
yeah,
first is a full backup, then afterwards, whatever is the new changes will be backing up. New
yeah,
data will be
only
backed up.
changes that are making to the data will only be reflected to the next snapshot. So when it comes to the RDS type of servers, that is MySQL, PostgreSQL, MariaDB, Oracle, or SQL, when you go for the automatic backup, you are actually paying for the entire amount of storage. So if your size of the database is 10 GB, every time you take an automatic backup, the 10 GB plus 10 GB plus 10 GB plus 10 GB is having, you need to pay for that. But if you go for the Amazon Aurora, it's incremental backup. So that day, So you will be actually saving the cost here. That's why it is highly recommended. If possible, then you should go for the Aurora.
No, why he didn't give that same feature for other apart from Aurora? No.
Basically, Aurora already covers MySQL, PostgreSQL, and MariaDB. And for Oracle and SQL, I guess the options are not available yet. The features are not available. And secondly, there should be a difference between Amazon managed services and the regular services. That's
Probably
why.
that is it. Yeah, yeah.
Then due to this automatic backup, it will have no impact on the database performance, and it again has the 30 days of retention period. Database snapshot. Now that was the snapshot that you were taking automatic backup. That is automatic. Now if you want to take a manual snapshot, you can also take it. You have to just click on action, and there will be a direct option of taking a snapshot. Now one of the most important part is security and
Snapshot, Lalit, snapshot mean backing up, right? Am I
yeah,
correct?
backing up. It's like a
Okay.
manual backup. If you are
Okay.
not, if you don't require
Schedule.
any automatic backup, or if you want, I have made certain changes right now in my database. I want to have a backup right now before I, run all the commands. So at that time, you can just take your manual snapshot.
Thank you.
Then important point is here is security and compliance. How to access the data. Now, just you need to tell me one thing small. Okay, you have one RDS instances running on where all the database are working, and you have one EC2 server running which will have all your front end and back end work. Now let's say an e-commerce site, that is, let's say amazon.com. You are running an amazon.com e-commerce site on your EC2 instance, and whatever the transaction you are making, whatever the people are buying the things, or whatever the new registration is happening, this kind of data is been writing to the database. So there are two now different services, that is AWS EC2 and AWS RDS. So how will you map both the services so that they can work parallelly, or you can say as a three-tier architecture? So how will you authenticate all the services?
No, in my case, basically, whatever transactions I make online, which is a front end, it has to, since I have two different RDS is a back end and EC2 is my servers are there. And then since if I do any transaction via EC2, it has to go and commit to that RDS. So
Correct.
meaning I have that, but your question is, your question is how do you use this more effectively to write your information or retrieve information?
Correct. How will you create a tunnel that will send a secured way of sending the data from EC2 to RDS?
Mm,
So to answer this question, you need to tell me by which tunnel all the transactions are happening in IT world.
80, you
Like,
said something 80 or 80, right?
no, no. My question is like, for example, like if you are having an EC2 instance running, okay, a
Okay.
web server running, and if I'm trying to use this website from my browser, so what kind of things that it will create? Of course, you need to create a tunnel.
HTTPS protocol.
Exactly. Exactly. So if you enable this HTTPS protocol, then I will be able to see your content. In much
Right, right.
similar way, your application and your database works on a specific port.
Probably FTP port
No, it depends on how you design your infrastructure.
or
Bas-
HTTP port.
no, it's not HTTP. It's a particular TCP port. Like if you go for the MySQL, it's working on 3306, or you can also customize this kind of port. So let's say you can just configure on your Apache server, like on which port you want to enable this communication, and similarly on your database you can allow this port. Now, as these are two different services, you need to enable a security group. Okay, So
One
security,
second, Lalit. I think the port you said 3306 is the port.
yeah,
Yeah,
330 is the port
3306.
where
Yeah.
there is a tunnel where this EC2 and this RDS are talking.
Okay.
Okay, similar to 80 port, similar to 22 port. This is the port where this communication is happening. So
Okay,
now,
Lalit.
now at the RDS to have this kind of transaction, you need to allow this port. Like if someone is trying to request from 330 post, then only it should write the data, or you need to authenticate such kind of things. Now this is very important point to remember that if any particular server, if you have only one database, if you have only one server which is trying to write the data on the database, then you should specifically allow the private IP address of that particular EC2 instance. Okay, you should not write 0000/0. That is, anyone on the internet can access to my database, because database is one of the most secure part of our application of your infrastructure. So you should only allow only a specific instance only that are communicating. If you
Can you
can
come
see,
again? I did not quite get this statement.
okay. So basically, database is one of the secure part of our infrastructure. Correct?
So that means one subnet will be there for that, right? Each service will be giving one subnet, right?
Yeah. So there is a subnet in which all the database instances are running. Fine. There is another subnet in which your EC2 instances are residing.
Got it. Yeah.
Now, in that subnet, in that EC2 subnet, if there are 4 or 5 different servers are running that all are communicating to that particular RDS machine, then here in the security group, either you can allow the entire subnet range, which if the subnet range is /24, then you can enable this /24. Or the second thing what you can do is you can allow a security group to inside a security group, which means for 4 server, for 4 EC2 instance, whatever the security group that you have used, that you have attached to this security EC2 instance, the same security group you can attach in the security group of the RDS. Now this is bit complicated to understand. We'll see this practically, but
Okay.
the important point is you should only allow specific rules in your security group for a database.
Okay.
You should not allow any other IPs or on 0000 or anything in your security group, because RDS is one of the precious content of your infrastructure. You need to keep it very secure.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. I think we should start our lab session tomorrow. I am not able to
Oh, that's fine. That's
swallow
fine. Yeah.
this
Thank you so
continuous
much, Lalit. Appreciate it.
I am speaking. That's why.
Lalit, are you doing tomorrow class?
Uh, if you are okay,
Next.
no, tomorrow not possible. Tomorrow I have
Yeah.
another batch.
Next class, right? Next class, Sunday night, our time. Monday morning, your time.
Yeah, yeah. We
Okay,
will connect
Lalit.
on that.
Yeah. Thank you, Lalit. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
You have a good day.
Yeah, good.
Thanks. Bye bye.